There we
What's
go.
up, man?
Hey,
Oh,
brother, how are you?
good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect, perfect. So how's everything going?
Everything is going well. I had a long day today.
I can imagine.
But we're here. We're here.
Definitely, definitely. So basically, like I said before, I want to start off with this HBCU love, man. So how does it feel to be Mister HBCU?
Honestly, I'm trying to get this. My screen is messing up. Hold on.
Oh,
Oh,
I see. It's cool, man. In the
okay. So you
Instagram
see,
live, man. Okay, so
um,
could you answer the question of of how you feel being Mr. HBCU? Just to start the interview, just with love, with positivity.
yeah. It's been amazing. It's been like I have some surreal moments, where I'm like, is this really like, am I really in this position? Um, and it's been an amazing experience so far. I had the honor and the privilege of being able to go to the UNCF conference. I went to their adult prom. And so like just being able to be there and to socialize with royalty. And I actually saw Brooke. I mean, Brooke is my sister. I've seen her like multiple times, but like to be able to see her, on the brink of me winning, and then after, everything that just happened with Bennett and the successes they have had, um, I have had a great starting 2 weeks. So I'm very happy about that.
And then shout out to Brooke. She just won Miss UNCF too.
Yes,
That
she
was amazing,
did. I'm so
man.
proud of her.
All y'all got all the crowns. Y'all know that. Like Answer got Miss HBCU. You got Miss HBCU. She got Miss UNCF. Like y'all just dominating everything. Y'all the warriors at this point.
Yeah, we just trying to be. My whole goal was just to bring light that campus royalty, we're student leaders. We're just not cute faces who wear crowns and sashes. Like we actually do work, and that's what I wanted to bring and shed light on through this position.
So really quickly, before we get into the interview questions, I gotta say, I don't know if you heard what I said in the live, but that blazer you had on at the end of the pageant was fire. That jump was fire.
Thank you.
Where'd you get that from?
I got it from boutique in Virginia.
And this is how you know this is an Atlanta thing, because people from Atlanta know how to dress, man. Like that be in Atlanta, y'all know how to dress. Y'all be killing it.
I'm from DC, so I can't.
But listen,
I'm from DC, so
Atlanta's rubbed off on you.
Home. I get it from home.
He said it's not Atlanta, it's DC. So that's the DC swag.
Yeah, it's definitely a DC swag.
Definitely. So basically, what I want to start off with, I want you to start off with your time in Morehouse. So just take us briefly through each year of your matriculation at Morehouse up to you becoming Mr. Blue and White.
Okay. So freshman year, I served as a freshman class senator. And I'm always very transparent about my entire Morehouse experience. I came into Morehouse extremely arrogant. I came into Morehouse like I had the mindset, and I kind of still do have the mindset, but it turned into something more positive. I wanted to be better than everybody. Like I wanted to come to Morehouse, and I was like, if I can do well in a space where like everybody is like me, and everybody was, everybody's black, everybody's a man, everybody was SGA president, everybody was prom king. If I could come here and like stand out and do well, I can do well in the world. So I really came out the gate like trying to run everything. I ran for freshman class senate. I ran for 3 positions. I ran for 3 positions. So I ran for freshman class senator. I got that. I ran for hall president, which like my freshman hall dorm, I ran to be the president of that. Didn't win. Then I ran for hall king at Manly. I didn't win that either, but I became first attendant, which is the equivalent of being a first runner-up. And then I ran again for hall president, and I still didn't win. But that humbled me, right? So I got into a space where like I was not being my best self freshman year. So when I came back over the summer, when I was back home, I just had to sit down and just like, what character flaws do I need to improve within my own self? And then how can I translate that into being a better student leader? So sophomore year, I remember like being in the back seat of my friend's car, and the Mr. Sophomore application came out. And I was just like, I wanted to be Mr. Freshman, but wasn't afforded that opportunity. So I I saw the application and I ran for it. I honestly wasn't even supposed to make. I missed the interviews for Mr. Sophomore because I had a head contusion and a cervical sprain. I had like a concussion. It was a lot going on. But luckily they let me make it up. So I made it up. Boom. Couple months later, Mr. Sophomore. Great. Got into the position and was very excited to finally be a king and to finally like be able to put in work at Spelman, and to give back to a community that I know has given so much to me in a short amount of time. And literally like it was so I won at the end of August, like August 29th. And then we came back next semester, the Blue and White informational was. So I was just talking to my friends, talking to my best friend, and was just like, can I do this? Like, is this something realistic that I can do? Like, I just won Mr. Sophomore. Like, do I have like the clout in a sense to pull off jumping from Mr. Sophomore to being the king of the school? And I remember being told by somebody like, you should wait till your junior year because people will feel more privy to vote for a junior than versus someone who would have another year to be able to run for the position. And looking back, I'm so happy that I didn't listen to that person. So happy that I didn't listen to that person. And I just went with my gut and was just like, let me just build on the momentum that I already have as Mr. Sophomore. And I ran, and April 14th, I became Mister Blue and White of Spelman College, which is what I would attest is one of the best things that probably has ever happened to me. And so I ran for that. I ran and I won. Then I got into the position, and then I ran on the platform of being a king to the core, a king who connects, obtains, relates, and executes. Just cultivating an environment an environment at Spelman where class kings and Mr. Blue and White, they don't, like I said earlier, they're just not a face with a crown and a sash. They're student leaders who actually put in work. And that's what I wanted to take from being a senator at first, from being on the Student Government Association, and then moving into, a royal court position, giving it that essence of like, the same type of respect that you're going to give your SGA president, you should give to your king and your queen. So, did all of that. And then I've always been so captivated by royals. So I was trying to research to see how I could make myself, how I could get to kings and queens. I wasn't able to get to kings and queens. But when I saw that they were having the Miss NBCA Hall of Fame pageant in Atlanta, I just jumped. I was just like, what can I do what can I do to put myself in a space where, I can get the leadership tools as a royal? Because, of course, I have the leadership tools as, like, a student leader, but there's different being in, a space, an environment with other royals who kind of can understand what you're going through. Because SGA president isn't going through the same thing that I'm going through. So being able to be, surrounded by like-minded people who understand. And the Hall of Fame pageant was it really set me up. It actually made it possible for me to be able to compete in Mister HBCU, because, I met the CEO, Dr. O, and Terrence and folks like that who helped me along with trying to navigate, trying to get my, seeing how, I would be paid for to go. And so that's literally like I literally have been a king since 2017, nonstop. Wow. Like I've been a king since 2017. And that was just as a sophomore. I'm only a junior. And a lot of people actually think that I'm a senior. I'm not. I'm a junior. So I've won these last 3 crowns within a 2-year span.
Wow. So I think this is important. This question is important because what I find amongst a lot of HBCU students that aren't ingrained within student leadership and Royal Court life, they don't really know what the function of a Mr. and Mrs. are. So could you give an explanation of what a Mister Blue and White does, or a Mr. insert HBCU here does?
Yes. So the king and the queen are kind of like, you have your SGA president, who is the voice and the advocacy for the student body, while the king and queen kind of embody, they're kind of, to me, they're the connection between alumni. Like, this is, to me, I believe that kings and queens are really like that connection between the alumni, the students, and the staff. It's kind of like the alumni really care about their queens. Like, you have a lot of queens who are like, they're the 82nd or like the 75th. So there's a lot of enriched history within being a king and a queen. So ultimately we help navigate, especially like with the class kings and queens. They are really like the pivotal folks within the royal court. I know people they put a lot of emphasis on like the school king and queen, but I think the class kings and queens are as essential because they really connect the classes, and give them more, it's kind of like giving them another form of representation, which I think is extremely important. I don't think you can have too much representation.
So essentially, one thing that we talked about just last week, but also in regards to what we see a lot of times in the royal court culture, is that, and I was talking with other kings about this too, is that it's a big emphasis on queens. Like, even me, I wrote a queen's pane. I didn't write a king's pane. I wrote a queen's pane. So essentially, how do you feel about the emphasis that's placed on queens versus the attention that's given to kings?
Honestly, I feel as though in society we don't honor our Black women as we should, right? And not just even just Black women, but women in general. The emphasis on Black women, like Malcolm X said, the most disrespected person in America is the Black woman. And so honestly, I don't have an issue on women being highlighted and women, in queen positions, like being emphasized. What I do have an issue with is kings not being able to have a platform. Like, it's an issue for me when you're sending your queen to MBCA Hall of Fame, but you won't send your king to Mister HBCU. Knowing that they both did the same thing to get elected, they both have crowns, they both are ambassadors of the institutions. But I think it comes down to is that, like I said, this is the fifth. I was just competing in the 15th annual pageant. MBCA Hall of Fame, I believe, is on the 31st or 32nd. And as you can see, like in relation to kings and queens, I'm the 14th Mister Blue and White, but my queen, Anta, she's the 82nd Miss Maroon and White, and then my queen Eva, I believe she's in the 30s, I believe. So it was just, and Brooke just joined the live. Hey, Brooke.
Yeah, I just saw
But I honestly, like, I just wish that like people put more emphasis into, not more emphasis, but care more about the kings, because there are men on our campuses. There are men that look up to us. So when they kind of see that, they're not being represented in the light that they should be, it's kind of discouraging. It's kind of discouraging. So I do believe that that's a conversation that we need to have with our HBCUs, and that's a lot that I'm going to be doing this year as Mister HBCU, just trying to ensure that like our kings do have the representation and the support that they should.
Okay, so if you just joined us, a shout out to Brooke who just joined us. This is an interview with Mister HBCU Jauan Durbin. He's also a Morehouse man, and he's currently the 14th Mister Blue and White. So we gave the backstory of your time in student leadership, and also what being a student leader and a king entails. So let's get down to the real pressing issue. What is going on with this Mister Blue and White thing? Take us from last Tuesday to now.
So the statement came out on Monday. And so when let's even like rewind, because I can talk about it because I talked about it in my live. They as in the Miss Spelman Advisory Board, and advisors and some deans of the college, they had an annual retreat. It was a retreat that they always have annually at the beginning of the second semester. So because us as the kings, and this is always an issue that you're going to see is kind of like a continuous pattern, we're not allowed in certain spaces because we're not Spelman students. So we weren't at the retreat, and at the retreat they had the conversation regarding our position, the Mr. Blue and White position in court. So we weren't and I was in, where was I at when, I was still here. Yeah, I was still here when they went on the retreat. And so that's when they discussed it then. So when I came back the week, not when I came back, but when they came back the week of competition, I left for Missouri on Wednesday. They were trying to have some folks, I don't want to be too specific, but some folks were trying to have a meeting with me and my court before I left for Missouri. And I kind of knew what the meeting was going to be in reference to, and I did not want to have the meeting before I went to competition. Like, I did not want to have that meeting before I went to competition. I didn't. So I was trying to avoid it at all costs, and we, prayerfully, it snowed that Tuesday. That kind of messed up a lot of stuff that I was trying to do, but it also made it impossible for us to have that meeting. So they were actually trying to have like a webinar conference while I was in Missouri. And I was just like, yeah, that's not happening. We can't. I'm in a whole nother state about to compete in a pageant. We can't do that. So they broke the news to my court first. And so when they told my court, I was kind of privy to the information before them as though the conversations were happening. I was privy to the conversations happening, but there was no direct answer. Like, there was no, this is official. So when I got back, I kind of was just like, I was in a headspace like, okay, I just won. Like, what's about to happen? Like, is Spelman going to release a statement? Is Morehouse going to release a statement? Like, what are we going to do pub-wise? So I wasn't really even, I had forgot totally about the conversations of Blue and White being removed. So I met with my advisor that Monday night, and she told me, like, the position is, like, is being removed and, you know, X, Y, and Z. And I was just like, okay, I'm sad that this is happening. And if it's going to happen, then it needs to happen smoothly. And we're going to go out with grace, and we're going to go out with bang. We made history. We made top 10 on Ebony, Mister HBCU. My court brothers are about to have amazing events this semester. So we're going to go out with a bang. And so I was just like, okay, cool. Hour later, I'm sitting in King's Chapel, and I'm scrolling on Instagram, and I saw the statement. So when everybody read the statement is when I read the statement. When my court read the statement.
I peeped that.
We didn't read that statement.
I peeped that on the
We didn't
post.
read that statement before it went out. So I'm reading it, and I'm like, at first I saw my name. That's like, you know how your eyes kind of gravitate, like you see your name first. So I thought it was like a congratulatory, like, yay, Mister HBCU, and then I read my name, and it's just like, we thank the entire Spelman King, and I'm like, and I'm kind of dramatic. I'm kind of a dramatic person, so like I'm sitting there about to cry. Like, I'm sitting in the auditorium. Wow. I got my crown on my head, like my sash on. Like, I was about to cry, and so my best friend was just like, "Get it together." He was like, "You need to get it together." So got myself together. And honestly, I was so my thing wasn't at first with the it wasn't with the statement itself. It was that the statement went out when it went out. Right. And that was really like my whole, like, that's why I got so emotional. Because it was like I couldn't even have been congratulated, you know, about 2 of the accomplishments that I had made within 72 hours. We literally found out that I made Ebony top 10 and won Mister HBCU from Saturday to Monday. And not even
there was
Saturday,
nothing
said, Sunday.
So there was nothing said about it, about you being in Ebony or you winning Miss HBCU at all, even before the statement.
Not publicly, no. I mean, we had email correspondence about me winning Ebony, but nothing public went out about me winning either before that statement went out.
Wow. So that, I feel as if that really says a lot right there.
Yeah.
So when it comes, because basically I'm trying to wrap my mind around it. So don't Spelman and Morehouse students like have classes together sometimes, something along those lines?
Yeah, so we can cross-register for our classes. So we can take classes at Clark, Spelman. You know, I took class at Spelman last semester, so we can cross-register. And it's, I don't want to say it's tricky, but you have to be in our community to kind of understand it. But because our schools are so close and we do use each other's facilities, and we, you know, you can join different organizations at different institutions and things like that. Everything is so intricate. So what most people don't know is that for Miss Maroon and White, you can actually be a Clark student and run to be Miss Morehouse College. Yeah,
Really?
yeah, yeah. And you can
Okay.
run for class. You can run. My queen, my Miss Junior, she attends Clark.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you can, yeah, like, but Clark doesn't have that for us. Um, like we can't run for anything at Clark in terms of their Royal Court, but it's open. It's open for them to be able to run for positions over here. Yeah.
Wow. So I brought that up just to say that, just personally, just my opinion on it is that, to me, it's crazy that you guys can have classes together, and even amongst the AUC, you have Clark students, they can even run for positions from in Mars and Spelman, but there can't be a male king for Spelman. Like that's really
Yeah.
crazy to me because of that dichotomy. So
Mm-hmm.
so after the statement, I want to talk about the personal aspect of it, because you were saying a lot of very interesting things on your story. So, how were you feeling after, like directly after you read that statement?
Directly after, like I said on my live, like my stomach went to like my stomach like almost collided, and like my phone instantly blew up, instantly. And I have a little bit of social anxiety. So I already was like dealing with, winning Mister HBCU and like all of that, because that encompassed a lot. Like, from the minute I won, like they said it on that live that I won, my phone instantly like blew up.
I can
Um,
imagine.
so going from just so much positive energy, um, and not saying that I preface this with saying not anything. I don't think that they released the statement when they did out of spite. I just think that like they already had planned to release the statement regardless if I won or lost. I just think more thought probably should have been put in about
Definitely.
when it was released.
Yeah.
But I think it just really, I don't think anybody really had any intentions like, let me put out this statement, da 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 da. We don't care if he won or not. I just think that it was already kind of like we putting out a statement, because the statement actually was going to be put out while I was in Missouri. Um, but a lot of people were just like, he's in Missouri right now. He has no idea. And that would have took me by like complete surprise. I wasn't surprised for real when I saw the statement, because I knew it was coming, just didn't know when. But me being in Missouri when the statement got released, that would have been like, for me personally, I can probably honestly say I probably wouldn't have won that pageant, because my mind probably would have been like focused on everything else than it should have been. But directly afterwards, I was not feeling the best. We had spoke on the phone. You know
Yeah.
what headspace I was in. Like, I was extremely
Yeah.
depressed. I was
Yeah.
extremely depressed.
And I feel as if that's something that we forget. That I think in general is forgotten about student leaders, is that we're human.
We're human.
You
Yeah,
know,
we're human.
and you said something at the beginning of the live, is that like people look at y'all as these people like with the crowns and the suits and things like that, but you're a real person.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel as if that was one thing that when I hopped on the phone with you, I wanted to make sure, because you remember off top, I was like, "Are you good? Like, forget everything else. Are you good?" You know what I'm saying? Because we don't have enough of that even amongst our cohorts of student leaders. So one thing when we talked, you said that it was going to be correspondence with Spelman's administration about the issue. So how did those talks go?
So we had my court brothers and we had a meeting. I believe it was Thursday. I'm not good with days. We had a meeting last week, with administration, and basically what we had learned, and I tried to put it in the statement, but it kind of got somehow made its way out the statement. Um, was that the role was initially for escorts. We were initially supposed to solely be escorts. Um, we were only supposed to, put on our platform events and then just, show up at homecoming to escort Miss Spelman in court. Um, and we made it so much more than that. And honestly, I didn't really see it as, when I was running, I didn't take really the escorting thing so seriously, because I'm like, if we're escorts, if we're only supposed to be escorts, why am I campaigning with a platform? Like,
Right.
why, am I unveiling like everybody else is unveiling? Like, why am I like, I spent a lot of money on my campaign. Like, if I was just supposed to be an escort, like, I don't think a lot of us would have put, I don't want to say that much energy, but we wouldn't have, I literally ran my campaign like I was running for SJ president. Like, I was doing something every day. So it was kind of like, and we signed contracts and everything. I don't know any escort that signing a contract
Right.
about appearances and your duties and X, Y, and Z. And I can send you my contract that I got to scan back to me. I had edited, like I had wrote notes on it. One of the appearances was a pageant, and I circled it because I knew that I wanted to run for Mister HBCU. Like, I knew, even from Mr. Sophomore, I knew that I wanted to be Mister HBCU one day. I know how I was going to get to it, but I knew I wanted to do it. And I circled it because I was just like, that's something I want to do. So let me put emphasis on this during my contract signing. And so it really was pushed in that meeting that you all really were solely supposed to be escorts, and me winning Mister HBCU and kind of like putting so much light on that position in that way, kind of like it blew up. And I could be open and transparent about this. Spelman didn't pay for any suit that I own. Any suit that, like, my everybody loves that Columbia blue suit, I pay for it. Like, everything, like even my court brothers, everything that you've seen them in, they pay for it.
Wow.
Miss Spelman, they don't pay for their dresses. They don't pay for their makeup. They don't pay for their hair. They don't pay for none of that. And we were okay with that. That's the thing. I'm not saying that to say, like, if I wasn't okay with doing it, I wouldn't have did it. I wouldn't have spent my money. But I cared. And I cared about the brand, and I still do care about our brand. But that just goes to show, like, we really cared to push the brand of Mister Blue and White, because we knew what and I say we as in Quentin, my first attendant, and King, my second attendant, we pushed so hard because we wanted to give Spelman like the kings that every other HBCU that they're privy of having. And so that's what we learned from that meeting, was that we really was only supposed to be escorts, and we blew that roll up so bad and made them shoes so big that just like it's really nothing that Spelman could do per se, because they can't spend their student fees on non-Spelman students. So, and that's not something that like that admin is saying no on. That's literally like in their finances. They can't spend money on non-Spelman students. And I think that goes for a lot of HBCUs, because the thing about different other HBCUs is their students they're co-ed institutions. So you don't have to worry about spending money on your king, because your king he's a student at the institution. And so that's where the issue lied at. It was just that the position was just so, it grew more than just only an escort.
So let me pull up the question tab, because I have a question that correlates with the question right here. Do you see the question bar right there?
No, I don't see nothing.
Okay, so I'm gonna read it to you. So let me go to, okay, so will Morehouse discontinue Miss Maroon and White?
No. No.
You don't think so?
No, and they shouldn't. No. Mm-mm.
And I feel as if that's something, and I want to say shout out to, I want to make sure I give the credit, Leroy D. Jones. So I feel like the reason
Corey said absolutely not. No, Morehouse would not. It's a reason why we're on the 82nd Miss Maroon and White. Morehouse does not play about their queen.
So let me answer this in follow up to Leroy's question. So if Mr. Blue and White, if Mr. Blue and White is supposed to be an escort to Miss Spelman, where's Miss Maroon and White supposed to be?
Miss Maroon and White she's actually an ambassador of Morehouse College. That's the thing. Mr. Blue and White, they tried to tell me, my contract reads something totally different. I read it totally differently. Wow. They said that they read it totally differently, whatever. But they said Miss Maroon and White, Miss Morehouse College, is an ambassador of the institution. Mr. Blue and White isn't. And so we have our female representation of the institution that would never go anywhere. But yeah, that's not gonna go anywhere.
So what's that like? Because that's one thing I wanted to ask. I think that was an interesting question. Thank you, Leroy. So Chabelle. So
shout out to all the MMWs. I love
Yeah,
that.
shout out to them. Shout out to Answer and all of them. I got a chance to meet Answer when they brought the Hall of Fame lecture series down to Fort Valley. Got a chance to meet her. Amazing.
Amazing.
Yes.
She's a beast.
I
She
know,
is
Trey.
a beast.
I talked to her, man. She's amazing. So
Mm-hmm.
Shabelle asked, and you sort of asked it, but I want to go deeper with it. She asked, did you have any inkling that this was going to happen? But what I want to ask you to sort of expound on that question, because you sort of did answer it within the story you told. Like, did you have any inkling? Like let's say, okay, it's homecoming, it's coronation. Did you have any inkling back in October that this would be something that happened?
Yeah. Honestly, wow, I just read something.
Yeah, I was read something too.
I really wish I could speak on a lot of things, but I can't speak on a lot of things. I really
okay,
wish
speak
I
on that.
could.
Okay, no problem.
In April, I will be able to speak on a lot of things. But what I will say is that I'm sorry, re-ask your question because this comment at the bottom really just like
yeah, I see it. So so basically, Shabelle Lipsy, who's a big fan of Pulse, she asked, did you have any inkling that this was going to happen?
yeah.
But I want to take it deeper. Is basically because you basically said that within leading up into the Mister HBCU pageant that you knew. But the question I have is that let's go back to October. Did you sort of know that Mister Blue and White was going to be discontinued back around homecoming time?
You know what's funny?
What?
I definitely knew. And it's part of the reason why I ran for Mister HBCU because I wanted to show Spelman that the position was of value, could and should be of value to the institution. I went as far as to write a proposal to save the role because the conversations did start. The conversations didn't. It wasn't just it just came out of nowhere. The conversations definitely started. I will believe a month or two after we got back to school, so probably like October, so around like homecoming, is when the conversations like started. So I do believe that, and like I said, I wrote a proposal because it was a lot going on regarding like the courts in general. So I really wanted to save the brand as much as possible. So I wrote out a proposal proposing that there be one winner. And that the rest, like the first, like whoever escorts the first and second attendant, would be, actual escorts. But I did propose that there only be one winner. So I did know that the conversations were happening.
Wow. So I feel like you just said something really interesting. So you running for, and shout out to everybody commenting. Make sure we keep it positive in the comments. Make sure we keep it positive.
Please. I don't think nobody was disrespecting anybody in the comments. Let me just say that nobody was somebody was shedding some light that a lot of people are questioning, which is like, we can go ahead and talk about it. One of my brother kings wears wigs, and that's what a lot of people were asking. Is that the reason why the position is being removed? And honestly, like, I don't want to say I can't speak on it, but it's just like I will hope and pray that that's not people's reasoning on trying to remove this position, that it honestly truly is only lying in the fact that we don't have the adequate resources to fund the position. I really hope and pray, and I want to say that I do believe that that's not what that is. But then again, like I said, you don't really know people's true intentions. But I would say, I really would hope and would pray that would not be a reason, because King is a wonderful person, and King honestly and truly like wants the best for both Morehouse and Spelman College. And I can say that because I knew King before we even ran for this position. So yeah.
So yeah, so I just want to make sure we address that in some way, just to make sure let that be known.
Yeah, I didn't want to hate over that.
Yeah. So one big question that I have, because I'm big into strategy. That's one thing I'm huge into. And you said something very key. You said that around the time of October, you knew that this position would probably be removed, and you were trying to make proposals to make sure it didn't happen. And you ran for Mister HBCU. So strategically, that was a strategic move. So what does being Mister HBCU How has that aided you in the removal of Mr. Blue and White? Like, how's that been a benefit? Yeah, has it been a benefit?
So I've only been in a role for like 2 weeks. So what I try to do is, because like there's a lot of brands that I'm attached to now. So I'm
Yeah.
attached, like Mister HBCU is not at all affiliated with Spelman College or Mister Blue White. So I have to be very particular in ensuring that like I don't cross contaminate the two, that I don't try to conflict being Mister HBCU as finishing out my reign as Mister Blue and White. So I try to be very particular in like my dealings. So that's why when you see me speak about Mister Blue and White, you'll see a Mister Blue and White logo. You haven't seen anything come from me about Mister HBCU other than pictures. And so that's why I'm being very particular in making sure that like we're not conflicting the two different brands, especially because Mister HBCU is a 501c nonprofit. So just making sure that like, there's no mixing or anything like that. So me speaking in this capacity right now is as Mister Blue and White and as Jauan Durbin. But like I really wanted to put emphasis on that. Like we're not trying to like conflict the two, but balancing it has been, we're trying to being in the role and trying to help has really opened my eyes to the fact that me as Mister HBCU right now, I really need to be advocating for Kings. I need to be advocating not just for saving Kings at Spelman, but ensuring that Kings at other institutions are not being like left in the dust. Like they're getting the same type of respect and treatment and funding that their queens are. So, I mean, I'm always in talks and conversations with my brother Kings, and I'm actually going to try to get all of us on a conference in the next like 2 or 3 weeks, just so we can all sit down and talk like and strategize like what can we do to ensure that like from 5 years from now that like all of our kings on all of our campuses are taken care of, and that we created this legacy for us to know that looking back, we can come back to homecoming and see that like our kings are decked out, that our kings have all the tools that they could have to succeed, because our SGA presidents have the tools to succeed, our queens have the tools to succeed, our treasurers, our class presidents, they all have the tools to succeed. So just ensuring that like we leave a lasting legacy and impact for our sons to build upon, I think is extremely important. And I will be doing a lot as Mister HBCU. I will let you know now. I have a lot planned that I want to do, and just making sure that they're all realistic. But I think the most realistic aspect of it is just ensuring that like we're building kings of core, like I have for my platform earlier, kings who connect, obtain, relate, and execute. I think that's extremely important.
Wow. So that was a very profound answer. And one thing that I want to say to you, because of course I'm gonna talk to you after this, but one thing I want to say publicly is that at HBCU Post, as the founder, so I want to make this clear, I'm the founder of HBCU Post. I am a senior at Fort Valley, but I am the founder of this media outlet. I support you, especially you and the Kings, 100%, and I want to do anything I can to help you out. Anything you need, any publicizing you need, you don't have to go anywhere else. We can put it out right here. We can make sure that everyone knows about it, and I want to definitely keep up with your journey as a HBCU and what you and the Kings do throughout your reign, for sure.
Yeah, please. And like, when that statement came out, when I literally got that statement emailed back to me, the first person it went to, you. I didn't post it on my story first. Like I sent it right to you because I think it's extremely important. Like, and like you said earlier, this is not gossip. This wasn't a way for us to sit on live and like bash Spelman or anything like that, because I love Spelman College with all of my heart. That has not, and the incident did not change any of that. But just like we need to have a platform to be able to say what we need to say and how we need to say it, because I think we all as student leaders kind of like tiptoe and kind of try to be respectable, and in some ways like we don't need to be respectable sometimes. Like me getting on live that night was not respectable. Like they did not like when I did that at all, but I had to, because it was just like I would do myself a disservice, and I would do the entire community that I'm advocating for, that I'm saying that you need to be your true authentic self and that you're allowed to feel. I would totally be doing all of us a disservice by holding my feelings in and not telling anybody just off the strength of like we keep some things inside. No, some things need to be publicized, right? Because that's how they change. That's how we learn.
Definitely.
They change because they get put in the forefront, and then it's like, okay, everybody knows. So now that everybody knows, everybody needs to put in information on how we're going to change it and fix this. And that's why, that's why I put it out there, because everybody needed to know. And now the conversations are being had, and ensuring that like this isn't going to stop anything moving forward. And I will go on record and to say that this is not the last time that you will see a man of Morehouse being a king. This is not the last time that you will see a man of Morehouse being a king. I promise you that. Whether that takes a year, whether that takes 2, whether that takes 3, we're going to be back.
So let me make sure that we provide clarification to that. Like, I know you probably can't speak too much on it, but are you saying a king in general, or Mister HBCU, or are you saying a Mister Blue and White?
I'm saying a king in general.
Okay.
This is not it for us.
Okay, I want to make sure. So it's king in general. We're just gonna keep it open, so y'all make sure to stay tuned, because it probably will break on HBCU posts. It's just so
hopefully. We know. Yeah, we working on some things. We working on some things over here.